Hello students, how are you all? I hope you're doing well. So till our previous session we have seen what exactly is the reflex arc, which is a very important topic from the chapter of coordination. So today we are beginning our part 4 of chapter 5 and class 10. So we have seen that the various actions we perform or we give response to or reaction to are controlled by our nerves. We have seen the two different types of nerves such as the sensory nerves and the motor nerves, which play a very important role in giving responses towards any stimulus. So we can divide the stimulus, or we can tell that the responses which we produce or we do or we act daily are controlled by our nervous system. So we'll be learning in detail how are the involuntary and voluntary actions controlled by our nervous system. So what do you mean by involuntary actions which are not under the control of your brain, whereas the voluntary actions are in direct control of your brain? For example, writing is a voluntary action where you can control it. Involuntary actions are those which are not under the control of your brain and they happen like your daily life processes. For example, breathing, respiration, digestion, all these are the processes which you cannot control by yourself. So they are called as involuntary actions. So both voluntary and involuntary actions of your body are controlled and coordinated only by your nervous system. So we have read what is digestive system, we have seen what is the respiratory system, we have seen what is the transport system. In this chapter of coordination, we will be focusing on the nervous system. We have seen the structure of nerve. So it is very important to know how is a nervous system developed to perform and coordinate various life stimulus as we touch, as we respond, or as we react to a situation. What is happening exactly in the nervous system? To know that, we need to know what are the parts of the nervous system, what exactly are included. In respiratory system, we have learnt about the lungs. We have seen what is the process of breathing. Similarly, today we are going to start the nervous system, which plays a very important role in coordinating the involuntary and voluntary actions. So the nervous system in your body can be divided into two types. So the nervous system can be divided into two types. First type is the central nervous system and second one is the peripheral nervous system. So central nervous system is the one. So why did we divide into central nervous system and peripheral nervous system? Depending on the nerves which originate from a particular area. So the nerves arising from your brain and your spinal cord come under the central nervous system, and the peripheral nervous system also have different types of nerves which spread throughout your body. So depending on the origin of nerves, we start or divide the nervous system into two types, the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. So today we'll be starting with the very important topic, the central nervous system. It is a very important topic from examination point of view. So please pay attention to and copy down the important points which we are discussing. So the central nervous system contains two important parts of your body. The first one is your brain and your spinal cord. So the central nervous system has two important parts, the brain and the spinal cord. So we'll be reading the structure of brain, and in our next classes we'll be seeing what is the spinal cord and how does it coordinate and respond to any stimulus. Okay, so the central nervous system consists of the brain and the spinal cord. So please put down the heading as structure of brain. Okay, so brain is a very important organ. We think, we react, we respond. Okay, we do our daily activities. Okay, through the coordination with the brain. So all the voluntary actions are controlled by your brain. Now I am speaking. It is due to the coordination between my brain and my sense organs. So brain and its mechanism plays a very important role in responding to any stimulus and to produce the voluntary actions properly if necessary. So let us discuss the structure of brain in detail and understand. So brain is a very important organ in the body which is situated on the anterior part of your body. So what do you mean by anterior part? It is on the above side. Posterior part means to the below side. So I can tell that anterior part means my hands are on my anterior part of my body, that is the above part. I have my legs to the posterior part of the body, that is they are present towards the down. So the anterior part of the body has a very important delicate organ called as the brain. So the brain has an outer covering. Okay, the brain has an outer covering called hard bony covering called as the cranium or the skull. So if you can see, our brain is a very delicate organ. Okay, so the delicate organ is protected with a hard bony structure called as the cranium or the skull. So the outer covering of the brain, because it is delicate, it should be protected in some or the other hard bony structure. That part of the brain, the delicate organs and the parts present inside the brain are protected by a hard bony structure called as the cranium or the skull. So below the skull or the cranium, you see that the brain is divided into 3 layers, or it is covered with 3 layers. If you can see, this is the first layer and it has 3 layers, and the layers which are present below the skull or the cranium are called as meninges. So you have the first covering of the brain called as the skull or the cranium. Exactly below the skull or the cranium you find the 3 important layers covering the inner parts of the brain, and those 3 layers are called as the meninges. So meninges play a very important role in lubricating the brain. So towards the inner layers of these meninges, you see that the inner layers are filled with a fluid called as the cerebrospinal fluid. So we have seen the exterior part of the brain is called as the cranium or the skull, which is hard bony, and below it we have seen that it is made up of thin delicate layers. This is the brain, this is the skull. It is made up of 3 thin delicate layers called as the meninges, and the inner layers of meninges has a fluid filled layer. So the inner layers will have fluid material between them, and that fluid filled material between the inner meninges are called as the cerebrospinal fluid layers. So these are the 2 layers which are present below the skull. These are the meninges. You see that between these meninges the cerebrospinal fluid is filled. So why do you need the cerebrospinal fluid? Why are we calling it a cerebrospinal? Because it is present in your brain and also it is continuous. So you can see, if these are the meninges, the cerebrospinal fluid will be present in between, and this fluid will act like a shock absorber. So you see that the skull and your layer should not collide with each other. They should not rub with each other. What will happen if it will rub? It will create some energy and your brain may pain or your skull may be ruptured. So due to that reason, there is a fluid which is filled in between these layers which will act as a shock absorber. So the cerebrospinal fluid which is present between the meninges play as or act as a shock absorber for the brain and protect it from any jerks or injuries. Are you clear, students? Now, the brain is divided again into 2 important parts, the white matter and the grey matter. So the grey matter is always seen to the periphery. So if you can see this part of the brain, okay, to the outer. What do you mean by peripheral part? Periphery is nothing but towards the outside. So towards the outer part of the brain, you see that the brain is covered with the grey matter. What do you mean by grey matter? Now we have seen the structure of a nerve cell. Yes or no, or a neuron. So we have seen that the nerve cell has a cell body and also it has an long terminal called as the axon. So the gray matter is made up of the cell bodies. So you see that the nerves which are present inside your brain, the cell bodies are more concentrated towards the periphery. They become like a cluster and they make the gray matter of the brain. So the brain has two important matters. The first one is the gray matter. Gray matter, you see that it is present towards the periphery of the brain, that is towards the outer covering of the brain, and the gray matter contains all the cell bodies. Whereas the axons, myelinated axons. Now what do you mean by myelinated axons? They have that outer sheath. We have also studied what do you mean by non-myelinated and myelinated. So myelinated means they will have that myelin sheath which will act as a shock absorber. So the white matter is present towards the inner side of the brain. Okay, so this part of the brain will have white matter and all the cell bodies will have axons. So the axons will constitute the white matter of the brain. So till now what did we read? The brain is a very delicate organ. It has the outermost part called as the skull or the cranium. Below the skull or the cranium we have the three important layers protecting the delicate organs inside the brain, and those three layers are called as meninges. And between the inner layers of these meninges we have seen that there is a fluid filled material called as the cerebrospinal fluid which will act as a shock absorber for the brain. And we have seen that the two important matters of the brain, that is the gray matter and the white matter. Gray matter is covering the peripheral part of the brain which mainly consists of the cluster of cell bodies, and the white matter is present towards the center of the brain and it contains the axons, myelinated axon clustering together at a place. So all the axons will finally terminate to the spinal cord. So you know that your brain and your spinal cord are attached to each other. Alright, so this is all about the external structure of brain. Skull or the cranium, meninges, and the gray matter and the white matter. Alright children, so the functioning of the brain, what are the real parts of the brain, how is the brain divided into many parts, and the functions, now we will be discussing. So the functioning of the brain was decided earlier ago, 2000 years ago, that brain is a very important organ for the functioning and very vital for the process of thinking, reasoning and all. So it was already known, the function of brain was earlier known ago, and now we will be discussing the parts of the brain, the very important parts of the brain. So please write down the important points as we discuss. So the brain is divided into three major parts. So the first part of the brain is called as the forebrain. Okay, so the brain is divided into three important parts: the forebrain, the second one is the midbrain, and the third one is called as the hindbrain. So the brain has three important divisions or parts. The first part is the forebrain and it constitutes the cerebrum and the diencephalon. So cerebrum plus the diencephalon will make the forebrain. And the second part of the brain is called the midbrain. Forebrain means what? It constitutes the peripheral part of the brain. Okay, and it is the largest part of the brain. The forebrain is the largest part of the brain. Midbrain means it is present towards the middle of your brain. Okay, and it constitutes the optic lobes. You see that your optic lobes you will have, those are present inside your midbrain, in your midbrain. And the last and final part of the brain which is present towards the spinal cord, that is, this is your forebrain, you will have in between your midbrain, and your hindbrain will be present towards the back. And that hindbrain will constitute the two important parts, that is the cerebellum and the medulla oblongata. So the brain is divided into three parts. The first part is called as the forebrain. The forebrain constitutes the cerebrum and diencephalon. Then the middle part of the brain is called midbrain. It constitutes the optic lobes, or it contains the optic lobes. The hind brain, which is present towards the behind, and it connects to the spinal cord. It is consisting of two important parts, the cerebellum and the medulla oblongata. Are you clear? So these are the three important parts of the brain, and now we'll be discussing the important functions of each of them: the forebrain, the midbrain, and the hindbrain. Okay. Now we have seen that the brain is covered with a very important hard bony structure called the skull or the cranium. Then the layers of the brain are called as meninges. Between the layers there is the cerebrospinal fluid. Now let us discuss about the first part of the brain, that is the forebrain. So the forebrain is the first part and makes the largest part of the brain. So from here, if you can see this all thing, this orange color structures till here is called as the forebrain. So the first part of your brain which is present towards the anterior side is called as your forebrain. So your forebrain is made up of the first important part called as the cerebrum. So you can see the cerebrum, it has some invaginations. Yes or no? So the cerebrum is made up of the invaginating things. If you can see, these like fold-like things are called as invaginations. Okay. So these above invaginations which are bulging out are called as the gyri or the gyri. Okay. So these are nothing but the hemispheres. The cerebrum is made up of hemispheres. What do you mean by hemispheres? These are nothing but these invaginating things or fold-like things are called as hemispheres. The above projecting hemispheres or these parts which are bulging out are called as gyri. The folds are called as gyri, and the towards the inward also the foldings, the hemispheres are folding. These are called as the sulcus or the sulci. Are you clear? So the cerebrum is the first part in forebrain. So diencephalon plus the cerebrum is making the forebrain. In the forebrain, this part which is showing foldings inside the brain is called as the cerebrum. It is the largest part of the brain. You can see half of the brain is covered with cerebrum. Cerebrum has the central hemisphere. So what do you mean by hemispheres? These are nothing but the invaginations, okay, fold-like things. So the folds which are coming above, which are invaginating above, are called as gyri, and the folds which move inward are called as sulcus or sulci. Are you clear till here? Now let us see the functions of cerebrum. Cerebrum will help in thinking, memory power, reasoning and emotions. So whatever emotions you produce, or whatever thinking or thoughts you are getting, or the reasoning, for maths you need more of reasoning skills, you are able to differentiate things, you are able to think logically, all those mechanisms are controlled by your which part of your brain? The cerebrum. So cerebrum will help in proper thinking, memory power, reasoning and emotions. Are you clear till here? Now the second part of the forebrain is the diencephalon. So if you can see below the cerebrum there is a small stalk-like structure. You can see this stalk-like structure is called as the diencephalon. So let us see what is the function of diencephalon. It is present below between the cerebrum and the midbrain. So where is the location of the diencephalon? Between the cerebrum and the midbrain. So cerebrum is the largest part, and in between the midbrain you see that there is the diencephalon situated. Okay, so the diencephalon consists two important parts. The thalamus, it contains the thalamus and the hypothalamus. Alright, so the diencephalon again is made, or it constitutes two important parts, the thalamus and the hypothalamus. Just remember the names, it is fine. Now we have read what are the functions of cerebrum, which is the first part of the forebrain. Now we are going to read what are the functions of diencephalon. and together they make up the forebrain. So diencephalon is present between the cerebrum and the midbrain, and it will always control the temperature of your body. So you have a proper body temperature, that is 97 degrees Celsius. So it is controlled by your diencephalon. So the body temperature is maintained by your diencephalon. Which part of your brain? It is nothing but diencephalon. And the blood pressure of your body is also controlled by the diencephalon, and all the muscular activities such as running, jogging, throwing, whatever you do with your muscle, all the muscular activities are under the control of which part of your brain? Your diencephalon. So the first thing we have read, that is the cerebrum and the diencephalon together make up the first part of the brain, that is the forebrain. Are you clear? And we have seen what are the important functions. Now the second part of the brain, we have seen forebrain is present towards the peripheral part. Then in between you have the midbrain. Why are we calling it as midbrain? Because it is present towards the middle. So the midbrain plays a very important role. So let us see what are the functions of midbrain. It connects the forebrain and the spinal cord. If you can see, this is the forebrain and this is the spinal cord. So where is the midbrain present? In between the cerebrum or the forebrain and the spinal cord. Okay, it connects the forebrain. So the connection between the cerebrum and the diencephalon, that is the forebrain, and the spinal cord is maintained through a small stalk-like structure. You can see this is a small stalk-like structure that is called as the midbrain. So it connects the forebrain with the spinal cord. It will help in sight and hearing. So you are able to see, you are able to hear, and those emotions are coordinated properly only because of your midbrain, which plays a very important role. As I have told you, the midbrain contains optic lobes. So optic lobes are nothing but the lobes which are requiring with the sight. They come under the sight. Optic means it is nothing but related to your eyes. Okay, so optic lobes are present, seen in the midbrain, which will help in proper vision and sight, and also it will help in hearing. And all the messages which should pass from the cerebrum to the spinal cord will travel through this midbrain itself. It contains a very important part called as pons. So this part of midbrain, which is a little invaginating structure, small circular structure, it is called as pons. So pons is a part of midbrain. Okay, so all the messages from the cerebrum or all the sensory messages from the cerebrum will pass from the cerebrum to the midbrain and finally to the spinal cord. So the midbrain will help in exchange of messages or signals between the forebrain and the spinal cord. Okay, so the impulses which should travel from this part of the brain to this part, it will travel only through the midbrain. So what is the major function of midbrain? It will help in the traveling of impulses from the cerebrum to the spinal cord, and as well as it will help in proper sight and hearing. Then the last part of the brain, which is present towards the back of your head, is called as the hindbrain. Hindbrain is always present towards the behind side of your brain. So if this is your face like this, okay, so this part you will have the forebrain, and hindbrain will be present towards your behind side of your head. Okay, so let us see what are the functions of hindbrain. The hindbrain constitutes again two important parts, the cerebellum and the medulla oblongata. So what are the two important parts of hindbrain? The cerebellum and medulla oblongata. We have seen forebrain is made up of cerebrum and diencephalon. Similarly, the hindbrain is made up of cerebellum and medulla oblongata. So let us see first of all what is the function of cerebellum. Okay, so cerebellum is the main part of the hindbrain, which will help in maintaining equilibrium, posture and muscle tone. So you are able to stand properly, you have a proper posture, yes or no? You are able to sit properly. While sitting you have a different posture, while standing you are able to stand stiff. So this all things are controlled and coordinated by your cerebellum, which is a very important part of your hind brain, which will maintain the equilibrium of your body. Means what? You're able to balance yourself, you are having proper ideas how to balance yourself. So it is very needed to maintain the equilibrium of your body as well as the posture and muscle tone. Okay, so what are the functions of cerebellum? Cerebellum is the main part of the hind brain, which is situated towards the back side of your body or your head. Its main function is to maintain equilibrium of your body, maintain balance and posture. Okay, then the last part, and also it will maintain the voluntary movements. Voluntary movements means what? Now I am talking, I can write. So all the actions which are under the control of your brain are voluntary actions. Now which part of your brain is controlling voluntary actions? The cerebellum. Okay, so you are able to answer for a question, you are able to speak, you are able to hear by your choice or by the thought given by your brain due to the very important part of the hindbrain called as the cerebellum. So cerebellum plays a very important role in maintaining equilibrium, posture, as well as very importantly the voluntary actions by your body. If you do not have proper voluntary actions, your body will not maintain any equilibrium, you will not have mental stability. So cerebellum is a very important part of your hindbrain. Then the final part, last and final part of your hindbrain is the medulla oblongata. So if you can see small stalk-like structure which is arising from the cerebellum, it is called as the medulla oblongata. So medulla oblongata is continuous with the spinal cord. So slowly this part will give rise to a stalk-like structure called as medulla oblongata, and medulla oblongata will be continuous with your spinal cord. So if this is your hindbrain, you will have medulla oblongata and spinal cord, which is protected by your vertebral column. Are you clear? So what are the functions of medulla oblongata? Cardiac, respiratory and vasomotor activities. Okay, so all the cardiac, all the heart related coordinating things are maintained by your medulla oblongata. Okay, the pumping of your heart, all those are maintained and controlled and coordinated by which part of your brain? Medulla oblongata, as well as the respiratory and vasomotor activities. Are you clear? Then it also will help in proper control and coordination of processes such as swallowing, sneezing, coughing, etc. So you are able to sneeze, you are able to cough when you have high temperatures. Okay, you are able to swallow. All these voluntary actions are maintained by which part of your brain? The medulla oblongata, which is a part of the hindbrain. And the medulla oblongata is continuous with the spinal cord. Your spinal cord is covered with a hard bony structure called as the vertebral column. So this is all about the structure, internal structure of your brain. So let us just have a recapitulation of what we have dealt. The first thing which we have read is the skull. The skull is a very important hard bony structure which protects the inner delicate organs such as the cerebrum, medulla oblongata and all. The skull or the cranium is a hard bony pallet-like structure which covers the brain externally. And you see that in between the cerebrum and the skull you have the three important layers covering your brain, which are called as meninges. The inner layers of meninges have cerebrospinal fluid, which acts like a shock absorber and protects your brain against any jerks or any injuries. Are you clear? Now the brain is divided into grey matter and white matter. Grey matter contains all the cell bodies of the nerve cells, whereas the white matter, which is present in between the brain, it will have all the myelinated axons. Okay. Then the three important parts of the brain are forebrain, midbrain and the hindbrain. Cerebrum plus diencephalon will make the forebrain. The midbrain contains the optic lobes and bones. The hindbrain makes up the cerebellum plus medulla oblongata, and we have read each of their functions in detail. This topic is a very important topic from examination point of view. They will ask you to write the structure of brain and draw it. So you need to clearly draw this and write all the important points, where it is situated, where it is connected, what is its function, with a neat label diagram. It will be asked for 4 marks. Are you clear? So this is all about the central nervous system, and the first part of central nervous system, that is the brain. So central nervous system and peripheral nervous system in our body. Central nervous system has 2 important parts, the brain and the spinal cord. Today we have dealt about brain. In our next class we will be seeing the next part of the central nervous system, that is the spinal cord. Until then, revise this topic from the textbook, underline each and every point and write down the answer of the structure of brain and its parts clearly in your notebooks. Until then, thank you.